Alright, so today we're going to be going over how to get Weavy 10 up and running on a local machine and how to deploy it to Azure. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So one of the first things you're going to do is head over to the Weavy Dock site. Look just like this for Weavy version 10. Taking a look, there's an introduction piece you can read here, but we're going to head to the back end here. So here we have configuration, we have drop-in API stuff, but we're going to go to the next steps here, getting started with the back end. So make sure you do all these prerequisites here and get those all installed. We're going to skip that for this tutorial. So first thing is to go ahead and download Weavy. Go ahead and clone it, open Git, and you're able to go ahead and paste this code right in there and clone this folder. Next step is to create a database. So we're going to open up SQL Server Management Studio here and go ahead and then create a database. Just go right over here and right click on databases and then click on create new database. Now I know the tutorial says to label it Weavy. I use Weavy a lot, so I'm going to label it Weavy 10 tutorial or Weavy X tutorial. So we're going to go ahead and create this new database so that way I don't interfere with any of my other information. So we have now, the next step is to configure the app settings. So we're going to go ahead and create a app settings.json. So right here, just in the terminal, touch app settings.json. Oh, if I can spell it right. There we go. Go ahead and open that in the code editor here, and perfect. We'll go ahead and copy the app settings here, just the basic app settings that you're going to need to get started. Let's configure Weavy. Go ahead here and paste them over. Perfect. Now you'll notice here we have a connection string. Now it says the database is Weavy, but I need to change that to Weavy X tutorial since I did do that. And we also have to then grab our license key. So we're going to go ahead and grab our license key. Now you can actually sign in if you already have, or sign up for free at our website, weavy.com. I'm going to sign up for free here. Or actually, I'll just log in. I had an account. So here's where you have all of your information here, the plan you're on, and the license key. I'm going to copy the license key over here, paste it in right where it says, and the license property, and save it. So our app settings.json is good. So now all we really have to do, minimal configuration, is to run this. So go ahead and open a terminal. And .NET run. Let's see. This is a moment of truth. Of course, it should go off without a hitch. And here you can see the logs that are happening here right within Weavy here. You notice it does say that we are listening on localhost 5001. So we go ahead and navigate to that page so we can check it out on our local machine. So let's go ahead and navigate there in a new browser tab. Just reran it real quick. So here we're going to go ahead and navigate right there. Perfect. If you don't see any errors, it's all good to go. Now the next step, well, one thing to note is you can actually open it in Visual Studio Solution and then just debug it with F5. Here's some additional configurations here where you can do things like set up a SMTP server, and then also one of our new features, reactions, configure those. And a little bit more reading here. When you have the time, you can set additional properties. We're going to just dive right into the hosting and deployment portion of Azure in the interest of keeping this short. So right on here, navigate to the Deploy Weavy to Azure App page, and we'll get started. If you already have an Azure account, go ahead and sign in. If not, go ahead and create an account in Azure. So I already have that, so we're going to get started. Here is my Azure account here. We're going to create a resource. First one is going to be a web app, as it says in the tutorial. So we're going to go ahead and click on it, but you can also search here and find it this way. So we're going to go ahead and create this web app. Now you'll have a subscription. You want to select that. You'll probably need to create a new resource group. Recommend to label it Weavy or Weavy 10 or however you'd like to organize your Weavy resources. We're going to call this instance Weavy X, so Weavy 10. And it looks like just need to select a runtime, which is going to be .NET 6 LTS, and it's going to be a Windows machine. And then since I'm over here in the East Coast right now, I'm going to select East US as the region. And for demonstration purposes, I'm just using a free account. Or for testing, you can do that as well. Free app plan. So go ahead and click Review and Create, and then you'll have to click Create again, and you'll see that it says Initializing Deployment in the upper right. This is going to keep going, so while this goes, let's go ahead and create our next resource, which is going to be a storage account. So there's some recommendations here as far as what we would recommend. I'm going to just use a simple free storage account for this. So let's go ahead and get that going. And one thing to note is you'll need to have the connection string available after you create it, but you can always go back and find it. So let's go right down to storage account, click create. Again, you can search for it, but oh, good news, our deployment has succeeded for our web app. That's great. But let's create that storage account one thing at a time. Keeping it in the same subscription and keeping it in the same resource group to make it nice and easy and organized. Storage account, Weavy 10 storage, perfect. Region, again, East US. I'm going to go standard. We do recommend premium, especially for production, but in this case, I'm just testing out here, so we're going to go standard and create again. Deployment in progress. On to the next. So going back, take a look at this. It's a SQL database, so let's go ahead and create that within Azure. Thing to note, we will need the connection string for that, but again, you can find it at any point. So right here, SQL database, go ahead and click create. Then again, same subscription group, same resource group, and a database name, let's say Weavy 10 DB. And for the server, we have to create a new SQL server. I'm going to say Weavy X server or DB server. Let's go with that. And same location, and you're going to use SQL authentication. Now, the server admin login has a few stipulations. It can't just be admin, so I'm going to do Weavy X admin. And then for the password, there are also some really stringent type of password requirements they have, which is good. But I'm going, and they'll note them right here, but I'm going to go ahead and create a password that I'm going to use for this. Nice and simple. Just since this is a demo, I'm going to delete this all when I'm done. So go ahead and click OK, and they're going to ask you to verify everything here, and then click Review and Create, and it's going to prompt you with estimated costs and everything like that, depending on what you selected, and then you can go ahead and click Create. So once that starts going, again, it'll be deployed momentarily. So with all those resources created, we now have everything that we need. We just need to configure settings here in the web app. So we're going to make sure everything's deployed and everything's good to go. I'm going to copy this. Everything's still deploying, but let's go ahead and get past that. Great, everything's deployed. So now from the resource group, you can see all of the resources. We're going to have to access all of these to find those bits and pieces of information that we need. So first thing, we're going to go to the app service and go into configuration on the left, as I'm showing you here. This is where you add those configuration settings, and we can add a new application setting right here. And let's take a look again at that first one. It's going to be the license, so Weavy license, and we're going to just go ahead and paste that there. So this is going to be my license key. I'll grab that. Perfect. And OK. First setting down. Let's add another one. So that's going to be the Weavy plugins type. And with this setting, we're just going to paste exactly what we have in here, so we know what storage provider we're using, what type. And then for the last setting, we're going to go ahead and add the connection string for that storage account. So we have to go grab that in the Weavy storage, go to access keys on the left, right here in the first key, you have to show all the keys, and you're going to grab that connection string for that key 1, right? And then we're going to navigate right back to that setting and click OK, place that value in there, and the last portion is going to be our connection string to our SQL Server, which is down at the bottom. Here we have to add a new connection string, which is going to be the ADO connection. So let's go ahead and get the ADO.NET connection string, and then you're going to have to replace the fields with your username and password. So to find that, we go to our SQL database, and we just go ahead and go to connection strings, and ADO.NET is the first one. We're going to copy this, paste it right on over back into our app settings for our connection string. So right here, it's going to be going to the value. We're going to make sure we're selecting SQL Azure, since this is what it is, and we're going to name this connection after we actually make sure we put our password in there. So typically, it'll have the admin ID in there, and then you just need to re-input that password that you used to create the SQL database for that admin. So this is my password, very sensitive. Hopefully our editor will blur this out. If not, this is not a password I typically use for anything. It's just kind of made up. Anyways, let's name this Weavy connection. Why not? And then go ahead and click OK. So after this, make sure you click Save at the top. Very important. Very important. And then, of course, continue to change all these settings. Now, once that is done and good to go, we'll have to do one more thing for the database and set the firewall settings and go over to the SQL database and then click this and switch it over to yes. We want to allow Azure services and resources to access the server, since this is what we're using for our app. So now we should be good. Just a few more settings. General settings tab for the app. We're going to go ahead and make sure WebSockets are on, which they aren't, so we'll turn that on. Again, save up there. Perfect. We've used WebSockets for the chat. And then we're going to, publish and deploy this. So we have it on our local machine, right? So let's go ahead and pull up a terminal here, and we're going to run the publish, then publish a release. We're going to run that prompt. So let's go ahead and do that. .NET, what was it? Right. So .NET publish, C, and then release. And then it's going to build a release for us, and it's going to take a little bit of time, but not very much, very few seconds actually, and it's going to be located in that folder there. And this is also described here on our doc site. So what you can do now is open up Azure and go to the App Service, get the publish profile right at the top, and we're going to download that. And we're going to open that up because this has some key information to what we're going to use to use our FTP client to upload it to. So right here, the host name is going to be the publish URL. We're going to go ahead and copy that from the FTP publish settings, put that into the host name, and you can use whatever FTP client you'd like. Make sure you switch it to protocol FTP. And then for the username and password is going to be the settings in here for username and password. So let's go ahead and copy this. And this is, of course, under the FTP publish profile. So let's go ahead and grab these two items. And once we paste these in, we should be able to just simply click login. You can save that if you'd like for future connections. I'm just going to log in since this is temporary. Connecting to, all is good. We see a hosting start page, which we can delete since we're not going to be using that. This default page that they have there, you can get rid of that. We're going to go ahead and select everything in the proper folder, which is going to be in that folder that was described earlier, the release .NET 6 Windows/publish. We're going to copy all those files and upload them with this button, or however your FTP client looks, to the root folder of the client. Now this is going to take a little bit of time, but once this is done, we're going to be able to actually navigate to the website. So I fast forward that a little bit, and here we go. Now the other thing we're going to do is create an admin account. So go to /admin account. You'll get this page. You'll be able to enter a username and a password. So you get to make this up. I'm going to say Dave and enter a very secret password. And then for this account creation token, we're going to actually go ahead and go to the Kudo settings, which is a great tool that Azure has here. To check out what is written in the log, since the server log is not yet available to us in Weavy. We'll go here, navigate there, take a look at the log, download the Weavy log, and then take a look at this where we have, oh yes, our account creation token. We're going to go ahead and grab that there and input it into the property where it says right here, account creation token. And then we now have our account, now an admin account for the Weavy server. We can take a look at certain things in there, but we'll explore that there. But log files are also available, easier access there. Now, that is essentially all. It's really it. Now you have Weavy deployed, and you can go and integrate into your front end. Thanks for joining us.